I'll just share my screen, prabhuji. Is it visible for everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. We'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Just try to move the screen a little. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकथा मह्यं ददाति सोपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिन्यति नामिने नमाचार्यपादाय निताय कृपाप्रदायिने गौरकथाधामदया नगरग्रामतारिणे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्यति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। हरे कृष्ण। Able to see some part of my screen. Okay. So we are continuing with the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are come to the 18th chapter, where it is the battle between the Supreme Lord and the demon Hiranyaksha. This is the subject matter for discussion today. So before just starting, I found some beautiful prayers about Srimad Bhagavatam or praying to Srimad Bhagavatam in one of the ISKCON sites. I'll just put it also just for recitation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Samsara Sagare Magnam Deenam Mam Karunanidhe Karmagraha Grihirangam Mam Uddhara Bhavarnaval Srimad Bhagavadakyoyam Pratyaksha Krishna Evahi Svikridosi Maya Natha Muktyartham Bhavasagare Manorathe Madiyoyam Saphalas Sarvadha Tvaya Nirvikhnena iva kartavyo dasoham tava keshava Shugarupa prabodhajna sarvashastra visharada एदल्कथा प्रकाशेन मदज्ञानं विनाशया भवे भवे यथा भक्ति पादयोस्तव जायते तथा कुरुष्व देवेश नाथस्त्वं नो यथ प्रभो नाम संकीर्तनं यस्य सर्वपापप्रणाशनं प्रणामो दुःखशमना तं नमामि हरिं परम्. So as the contents for discussion today, we'll go through a very quick short recap of the previous class, which was taken by Pankaj Prabhu so beautifully with excellent examples. And then we will get into the 18th chapter, where the crux of the discussion is the fight or the battle between the Lord in the form of a boar and the demon Hiranyaksha. So in this chapter, there are total 28 shlokas, which is a comparatively much shorter chapter. And the initial slokas, first couple of slokas, Hiranyasha is jumping into the ocean, and then he is getting the darshan of Lord in the form of the boar. And then further, Hiranyaksha addresses the Lord. And then here, the unfortunate thing is, it's resorting to very foul language to address the Lord. So that we see from slokas 3 to 5. And in the sixth sloka, the Supreme Lord is pained. So this is one very important discussion point in this chapter. When the children of the Lord, whether they are devotees or demons, when they use or when they, how to say it, use foul language or wrong language to address the Lord, he is pained. Like a father is pained by the misbehavior of a child. So this is one important discussion which we come across. So in the seventh sloka, we see demon mocking the Lord in many, many ways. And then finally, Lord raises from the water along with Mother Earth on his tusks. And then here the Lord is addressing the demon in 10 to 13 slokas. And then the fight between the Lord and the demon, it is from the slokas 14 to 19. And then meanwhile, the fight is going on between the Supreme Lord and the demon. Lord Brahma, along with many demigods, arrive there. And then finally, the prayers by Lord Brahma. So these are the subject matters in this particular lesson in chapter 18. So very quickly looking at the previous chapter, what was the discussion? So as we all are aware, the background is the Jaya and Vijaya from Vaikunta. They were cursed by the four Kumaras, and they were forced to come to the material world and then take the form of demons. And then we know that Mother Didi is now pregnant with the two children which are demonic in nature. Because of that, the entire universe became dark uh, with very, very deep darkness. And because of that, all the demigods and the Brahmanas were very highly disturbed. And they approached Lord Brahma to understand what is the reason. And then they together meet Lord Vishnu. And then Lord Brahma is giving a very clear explanation for the reason why the darkness has happened, which you have seen in the previous chapters. And with the description of Lord Brahma, who is none other than the son of Supreme Lord himself and elevated devotee of the Lord, the demigods are satisfied by the explanation. So this is one part we saw there in the previous chapter. And then the Mother Diti gives birth to these two demonic sons. Then because of the birth of these two demonic personalities, inauspiciousness is shown everywhere, and it is described in detail in Srimad Bhagavatam in the previous chapter. So some of the descriptions were heavy winds were blowing, they were even uprooting the trees. There were dark clouds everywhere. Lightning was happening in a very, very intense way. Darkness was spreading all over the place. Commotion was happening in the ocean, agitation even in the rivers and other water bodies. And it is mentioned that jackals were yelling from the forest and many, many places, and the birds were shrieking and flying away from various trees. So these are all indications that some extreme negative impact is going to happen on the earth. So it indicated many, many ways of inauspiciousness. And then the bodily features of the demons are explained there. They were steel-like as soon as they were born. I mean, instead of having a how to say a soft body like we see in human beings, they had the body like steel, and then they also grew to a huge size. They were always almost like a mountain, and it is mentioned that they were even their heads were touching the sky. So we can imagine how probably horrible or dreading feature they had overall. And then Prajapati Kashyapa, the father of the two sons, he named them Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that these children were fearless in nature. With the boons they got from Lord Brahma, and they decided to control the world. Generally, fearlessness is considered to be a great virtue, that we are able to face calamities and problems without fear. But there is very big difference when there is fearlessness in among demons and then among devotees or the brahmanas or the good people. So here the fearlessness was no fear for anything, no fear for any law, no fear for any regulations. Unlike we see fearlessness in great personalities like our Srila Prabhupada, who could travel across the whole world and then spread the holy name of the Lord without any fear. But at the same time, we can see that the devotees of the Lord are very, very soft and they are very kind to everything or the living entities around. But here the fearlessness exhibited by the demons were not like that. They were completely lawless and they were creating havoc for all the good living entities in the whole universe. So Hiranyaksha, it is mentioned here, the younger brother Hiranyaksha was ready to satisfy all the whims and fancies of Hiranyakashipu, his elder brother. So another example, what happens when the demonic personalities come together? Like in Ramayana, we can see that Ravana had a younger brother called Vibhishan. Although he was also born in the Asura Kula, he had a very different approach. Since being a devotee of the Lord, he always tried to give the right advices to Ravana so that he can leave his demonic nature and come back to a normal life at least, or become a devotee of the Lord. But here, Hiranyaksha being, although a younger brother of Hiranyakashipu, he was always having only one intention, how to satisfy all the negative aspirations of Hiranyakashipu. So this is the difference we see in personalities who do not have the presence of Lord in their heart at all. So here Hiranyaksha goes to heaven in search of Lord Indra and other heavenly beings so that he can control them. But because of the fear of Hiranyaksha, the demigods, they understood that they have how to say, special boons from Lord Brahma. They will not be able to face him, so they all hid themselves. They literally ran away from their places, and they were not present when Hiranyaksha came there. So, since he could not find anybody in the heavenly kingdom, he became kind of morose, he became unhappy. So, he decided that he will return. So, he came back to earth, and then now he thought that he will jump into the ocean and then make havoc. Because in the sky, in the upper kingdoms, he tried to go and then could not find anybody. Now he was looking at the ocean. So, he jumped into the ocean and then went down. And then there he meets Lord Varuna, the king of the entire oceans. And then he goes there and then he start mocking him. So instead of praising him, although he shows it as a praise, he goes and falls at his feet to mock him and say that you are the big personality, you are the powerful personality. So why don't you fight with me? So it is mentioned here again that Lord Varuna was very, very angry inside, looking at the way he was being mocked by the demon. But he controlled his anger. And then what he did was, he told him that I'm too old now. I will not be able to fight with you. You go and fight with only one personality, who is the supreme personality of God, which is Lord Vishnu. You have to go and fight with him. But while Varuna was explaining all these things to Hiranyaksha, he also told him very clearly, once you fight with the Lord, you are going to die. And it is mentioned that, your body will be lying there and the dogs and other creatures and vultures will be eating the body. So this is what Varuna told him. Although he kind of avoided fighting with him, he asked him to go to Lord Vishnu, but he made it very clear that you are going to definitely die in the hands of Lord Vishnu. So this was also mentioned to Hiranyaksha very clearly by Lord Varuna. So in addition to all these main points in the chapter, Prabhuji in the last class mentioned about very beautiful examples, the importance of surrendering to the Supreme Lord, the necessity for all the people, especially the devotees, to always take the advice of Vaishnavas in case they face calamities or otherwise. So these are all very, very beautifully mentioned by the Prabhuji in the last class. So we move to the present chapter now. Now, Hiranyaksha is in search of the Lord. So in the first sloka, it is starting with a discussion by Maitreya Maharishi. So here Maitreya says that Maitreya vacha tadevam akarnya yalesha bhashitam mahamanastat vighnaya durmada harer vidira gatim aktanaradat rasadalam nirvishe tadarnya vidha. Maitreya continued. The proud and falsely glorious Daitya paid little heed to the words of Varuna. Oh dear Vidura, he learned from Narad the whereabouts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and hurriedly betook himself to the depth of the ocean. So here the nature of the demonic quality is very clearly mentioned by Maitreya Maharishi. So he's saying here that although Varuna had pointed out to him that, you can fight with Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the only one who is able to fight with you. But he also had made it clear that you are not going to survive in the hands of the Supreme Lord. But being a demonic quality, he just completely ignored the second part of the inputs by Lord Varuna. And then he jumped into the ocean thinking that he will be able to find the Supreme Lord and fight with him very easily. So here Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that that is the characteristic of a demonic nature. that they think that even this Lord is just like any other being. And since the demon has so much of physical power, yeah, Lord is also similar to that, and he'll be able to very easily fight with the Lord, and then how to say it, challenge him or defeat him. That is the thought process generally demonic mentality has. So here it's also explained in Bhagavad Gita through many slokas the nature of divine and demonic qualities. So in the 16th chapter, in the slokas 1 to 3, Lord Sri Krishna mentions what are the qualities of a divine nature. So here Sri Bhagavan Vacha Abhayam Sattva Samsuddhir Jnana Yoga Vyavastita Dhanam Damsascha Yajnascha Swadhyayatavamarjavam Ahimsa Satyam Akrothas Tyaga Shantirabhasyunam Daya Bhudeshva Apolubhvam Madhavam Harirachapalam Tejakshama Adha Adroho Nadimanita Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata. So it's a long explanation. So the supreme personality of Godhead is saying fearlessness, purification of the existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with a divine nature. And further, he also explains the nature of demonic mentality. Dambho darpophimanascha krodha paurushyameva cha ajnanam chai ajnanam cha vijatasya partha sampadam asvirim. So here if you see, Lord is mentioning pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demonic nature or son of Radha. So it's very interesting here to see what are the expectations when if somebody need to have divine nature. So it's a very long list of many things mentioned by the Lord. So it's not easy at all to attain divine nature, and from Lord's own words we can understand. But at the same time, to get a stamp on your forehead as a demon, it's very easy. It's only talking about 4 or 5 things here: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. If you get these things, and then it's very quick to get the how to say it, to the label as a demon, and to get the wiseness or the qualities of divine nature, it is not difficult because we have to get many much more or much more qualities. That's important. So it's one interesting thing we can understand from these verses from the Supreme Lord. Now the question comes, what are we supposed to do? I mean, if you want to move away, as we know, when we observe ourselves, we see many times many of these qualities present in us. So how to change us? The best way is that we have the divine nature. So the question is it possible that we can purify ourselves? So I was listening to many lectures by many Vaishnavas where they are mentioning that we do not have the capability to purify ourselves. So what do we do? As per the knowledge we got through, especially after connecting to Krishna consciousness, we understood that we don't have the capability. So what we do, we approach Lord Krishna, and then we, at least that is what which was mentioned initially, that the purification of us is possible only through the from the mercy of Lord Krishna. Then we slowly understood when we got more understanding of Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, or connecting to more and more senior Vaishnavas, we understood that we do not have the purity to approach the Lord directly. Then we are told, or we understood in further learnings, that Srimati Radharani is a much more merciful in nature. We can approach her. That is a much easier way rather than trying to approach Lord Krishna directly. But once we go to Radharani and understand her purity, and it is many places mentioned that he's even more purer than the Lord himself. So how easy is it to approach the energy of the Supreme Lord in the form of Srimati Radharani? Then we understood that there is one more very munificent and most merciful form of the Lord in the name of in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we are told, or we understood, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful, we can get a mercy of him and purify us easily by approaching him. Then in many stories, it is mentioned that, like in the example of Jagai and Madai, Mahaprabhu was not ready to give the mercy because of their extreme demonic nature. But there is another personality, also Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the form of Nityananda Mahaprabhu. So Nityananda is the personality we should approach for getting purification more easily. Then further we understood that even more merciful forms are the Panchatattva. When all the Panchatattva come together, nobody is there to give more mercy. So in this way, we also approach Panchatattva, or finally we approach Panchatattva for the mercy and purify ourselves. Further, we understood that Panchatattva is has been further, how to say it, given the mercy through to us through our Srila Prabhupada himself, who has used a complete mercy avatara and who has gone across the whole world and then given the mercy of the Lord. And then we know that we do not have the direct association of Srila Prabhupada at the moment, and he further passed on the mercy to us in the form of our dear Guru Maharaj. Or many other ISKCON gurus we have in the Parampara system through whom we are connected to the Supreme Lord. And then since Guru Maharaj may not be, it is not possible for us to associate with him directly on a daily basis. Yes, it is possible by listening to him, his writings, his instructions, as well as probably approaching him through various mediums of communication. It is possible, but more easier way is to be connected to the senior Vaishnavas we have every in our day to day, how to say it, day to day connectivity. And all these things we have to do in the association of the Vaishnavas. So this is was my thought process while I was going through this chapter. Although our intention is to have divine mentality or divine qualities, it is not a very easy thing to achieve. And this and very beautifully, our system, our Krishna consciousness has given us so many ways to approach the Supreme Lord in a very easy way. And it is mentioned in especially in the Guru Agya program which happened in Madurai. It was mentioned generally the disciples go in search of the Guru, but here the Guru is coming in search of the disciples and then giving his mercy so freely, probably even more than the mercy which was given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Move ahead. Now moving ahead with the chapter, now the demon Hiranyaksha is addressing the Supreme Lord. So how he is addressing? The demon addressed the Lord, O best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boar, just hear me. This earth is entrust to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me. So here the demon is saying that earth is mine, or like a typical mentality of demons, mine and me. So he's very clearly telling the Lord that the earth is mine because it is assigned to us already. We have the complete power to rule it. And then he's challenging the Lord and telling the Lord that you will not be able to take it away without being hurt by me. So face me. Without facing me, you will not be able to touch it. And further he goes on. Now his mood is further changing. So he's showing his demonic nature much more. He's addressing the Lord as rascal here. And here he says, you have been nourished by our enemies to kill us. Man, you have killed some demons by remaining invisible. And he is calling the Lord a fool. Your power is only mystic. So today I shall enliven my kinsman by killing you. So he's telling or challenging the Lord and saying that he is going to kill the Lord without any doubt. So the demon further continues. He says, when you fall dead with your skull smashed by the mace held by my arms, the demigods and sages you who offer you oblations and sacrifice and devotion service will also automatically cease to exist like trees without roots. So here two important things. One of the nature of demons in the world also we can see around. There are many thought process of other belief systems where they think that by converting the existing mentality or by killing many of the good people, they'll be able to finish all the goodness and then they'll be able to easily rule the entire world. This we can see in today's world also very easily with many instances happening around us. Things like the shootout which has happened in Jammu and Kashmir recently, etc. So we can see the demonic nature is existing as it is even today without any change. So the typical nature of them is what? Finish of all the goodness in the world and we come and all the bad elements can rule the earth. But as per examples around us, like the examples of countries like Afghanistan, etc., where they have tried to finish off all the legitimate rule and then rule in the name of so-called religion, we can see that still there is no peace. The moment they root out all the goodness, then they fight amongst themselves and then create even more havoc. So that is also one of the understanding we can get here easily. So now the Lord describes demonic nature in Bhagavad Gita further with certain slokas. The Lord says, Namam duskritino mutha prapadyante naradhama maya maya prahrita hata jnana asurim bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So here it's very clear with the behavior of Hiranyaksha, how we can see these words by the Lord is very appropriate for him. So he does not have the approach to surrender to the Lord, but he is bewildered by illusion, and his nature is lowest. We cannot call him mankind, but it is more of how to say it, demonic, and it is grossly foolish. That is why he is challenging the Supreme Lord. And this we also could see from many other personalities similar to him. In the case of Ravana, we saw the same activity, and for the Duryodhana had the same approach, like Hiranyaksha or Kamsa also had the same approach. So all the demonic people in the world, whether it is for all these personalities from our scriptures or whether personalities we see around even today are exactly the same. They believe, unfortunately, that they'll be able to rule by disturbing all the goodness and then control the world, although the reality is always very different. So now in the Kali Yuga, when we see that, it is not difficult for us if we observe ourselves. Many of such qualities exist in us also. So time to time, when we are in the company of devotees, etc., or in the association of devotees, etc., we are not so much attacked by Maya. But generally, it's not so difficult for us if we keenly observe us that many of these qualities are there in at least persons like me. So I was listening to one lecture by Her Grace Nitai Sevini Mataji, where she says even among devotees there are three kind of personalities, within the same person, like me. So one is in the association of the devotees. When we are in the association of devotee, what we do, we wear the tilak, we have a very nicely put on the dhoti and the kurta, and then we are very respectful. Like when I meet Premdata Prabhu or any of the senior Vaishnavas, I will bow down, I try to touch their feet and then say very nice things, how are you, Prabhuji, etc., etc. That is one mood of mine. And then at home, it is a very different one, where the true nature comes out, in a much better way, where the behavior is more harsh. If anybody checks with my children, it's very easy to understand how arrogantly I behave. I am scolding them all the time for many, many things, etc., etc. So that is another personality within me. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can you please mute? Somebody is talking, I think.
वो तो बैठी नहीं होगी कभी खा रही
वो तो 24 घंटे अपने
Krishna
कुर्सी पे
Prabhuji,
Sorry, I'm not the host, so.
yes, Prabhu, 1 minute. Archana Mataji. Okay. Sorry, Prabhu.
Problem, thank you. So the other personalities at home when one is with the family and very, very different nature. And then finally, there is a self which is alone, not even in the company of the family, brooding over many desires on probably, like Prabhupada mentions, wine and women and many, many things. These are the typical three things existing within myself. When I look back and, observe myself. So it's not, I mean, in Kali Yuga, it is mentioned that all the goodness and madness is in a way existing within us. So the only possibility for us to purify us is in the association of the Vaishnavas and in the association of the Supreme Lord. There is no other way with the blessing of the Guru. So now, Lord is pained. This is one important and interesting part in this chapter. Here it is mentioned in this chapter that although the Lord was pained by the shaft-like abusive words of the demon, he bore the pain. But seeing that the earth on the end of the tusk was frightened, end of his tusk was frightened, he rose out of the water just as an elephant emerges with its female companion when assailed by an alligator. So here what we understand, it is mentioned that the Lord is pained because demon was using very foul language to address him. But what did he do? He just bore the pain. Being the Supreme Personality of Godhead or Vaishnavas, when they are pained or insulted by others, they don't retaliate immediately. They just bear the pain. And Lord is showing that example here. And then here, but seeing the earth on the other one, and at the same time, he's also very merciful to the earth. She could understand, the Lord could understand that the earth is frightened now because the demon is challenging in such a way, even the Supreme Lord. So what did he do? He came out of the water very majestically. That's explained that he came out of the water, emerged from the water like an elephant with its female companion when assailed by an alligator. That was the mood of the Lord. So what we understand from these words, the Supreme Lord is a person with personal attributes and feelings. So here Prabhupada talks about the Mayavada philosophy in a very strong way, and he kind of refutes the arguments Mayavadis, saying that the Supreme Personality is impersonal, he doesn't have attributes, etc. He says it's very clear through this sloka that Supreme Lord is a person and he has all the personal attributes, feelings, etc. In fact, we are behaving like that because he has all these attributes. And then he is our Supreme Father. He gets hurt when his children misbehave. It doesn't matter whether the children are devotees or even demons. They are all children of the Supreme Lord. So this is one understanding. So here we have to understand that. So there are many lectures by Amoglila Prabhu where he mentions that in this material world or in the all the worlds, the only true love is by the love by the Lord. So the only hug which is true is the hug by the Supreme Lord in the form of his affection and love. So one sloga I would like to quote from here from how to say it. Getting name anyway. So this sloga very beautifully mentions without devotion to the Supreme Lord. If you are not thinking about the Lord, if you do not have devotion towards the Supreme Lord, even spiritual activities are of no use. So here it is mentioned, Amnaya abhyasananaranyaruditam vedavradananvaham medascheda falani purta vidhaya sarvam hudam bhasmani तीर्थानामवगाहनानि च गजस्नानं विना यत्पदा द्वन्द्वाम्भोरुह संसृतिर्विजयते देवस्य नारायण. So here it is said, Amnaya Abhyasanan Aranyaruditam. So if you read scriptures, if you read Vedas, etc., without surrender to the Lord or without thinking about the Lord or without devotion to the Lord, it is equivalent to what we call as Aranyaruditam. Aranyaruditam means what? This is crying in the wilderness. If somebody is lost in the forest, in the wilderness, and there could be tremendous amount of fear because you are hearing many sounds of animals, etc. One may cry there with great effort, but what is the result? There is no result at all because there is nobody to listen to you. But on the contrary, some animals may hear you and they can come and attack you or eat you. So the chanting of the name of the Lord, or even how to say it, chanting of scriptures or understanding of the scriptures, reading through the scriptures are all equivalent to Aranya Ruditam if you are not, if you do not have devotion. Then it is further mentioned that all the vratas we are going to check, Veda, Vratan, Anvaham, Medas, Cheda, Falani. So all the austerities we are going to take, all the vratas we are going to take are all just equivalent to doing some exercise. Medas, Cheda, Falani means it is just reducing the bodily fat. Other than that, it will not help in purifying us in any way. Then it is further mentioned, Purta Vidhaya Sarvam Hudam Bhasmani. So the oblations, when we do how to say it, sacrifice, we give many oblations to the fire. But here, doing all the activities without the Supreme Lord's devotion is equivalent to giving these oblations in the ashes instead of giving it in the fire. That is the equivalent to that. And then finally, it is mentioned what is equivalent to taking bath in all the Punya Tirthas. It is equivalent to having Gajasnanam. So generally it is explained how an elephant takes bath. The elephant gets into water. Many cases we can see that they are bathed very nicely by the Mahout And then as soon as they come out of the water, they take out lots of sand from the earth and then pour it onto their head. So all the activities, if you do, even if they are spiritual, so-called spiritual activities, if you are doing it without devotion towards the Supreme Lord, these are all completely useless. That is what this sloka is mentioning here. So now further understanding from what is the Lord is worship. So any opportunity, what is the mentality of the pure devotees of the Lord? Whatever opportunity they get to worship, they immediately utilize such an opportunity. They don't leave it. So the Lord placed here the earth within his sight on the surface of the water and transferred to her his own energy in the form of the ability to float on the water. So after raising from the water, what did the Lord do? He placed the earth on the water itself and gave it a special power with his own capability so that the earth is floating on the water. While the enemy stood looking on, Brahma, the creator of universe, extorted all and other demigods rained flowers on him. So here Lord Brahma and the demigods saw that it's an opportunity to worship the Lord and glorify him even in the midst of the fighting or about to fight. And then they started, rain flowers on the Supreme Lord and started worshipping him. So they saw that it's another opportunity. So there is no particular right time or wrong time to worship the Lord. Any moment, any time, even if it is in the midst of a fight or a big war, we should not leave the opportunity to worship the Supreme Lord. That we can understand from this shloka. So this is further mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita also. The same point comes up that Ananya Chintayanto Mam Yajana Paribhasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. So the Lord is saying that those who always worship me with explosive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So the Lord is giving assurance that for the devotees, whatever the devotees are lacking, the Lord give, and then whatever they have, they maintain. I think in one of the classes in the temple, this question was asked by a prabhuji to one of the maharajas, how to understand this, because where there are many cases we can see that the riches of the devotees are taken away by the Lord, and then materially they may appear to suffer. So there the maharaja was answering, gave the explanation that Lord is more talking here about the spiritual aspects. So the Lord is more ready to maintain all the spiritual power of the devotee or increase the spiritual aspects in the devotee if they lack any, and then he will ensure that whatever spiritual progress they have managed to get will be maintained. But all these test by the Supreme Lord is only done usually for the devotees who are very highly pure, that we can observe in general. And very, very, how to say it, elementary so-called devotees like me, probably it's also an indication that, the Lord is not testing till the time one is getting more purified and then more approaching the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada also says in his life that I was doing a business very, very nicely and everything was going perfectly and I had a big name in the business circle. But Supreme Lord, because of his mercy, took away everything ultimately so that I can exclusively focus on the Lord. And if that would not have happened, probably we would not have been lucky enough to get connected to Krishna consciousness. Another understanding here. Now moving ahead, the Supreme Lord now addresses after raising up from the ocean. He is addressing the demon and then he's talking to the demon. And then he says, the personality of Godhead said, indeed, we are creatures of the jungles and we are searching after hunting dogs like you. One who is freed from the entanglement of death has no fear from the loose talk in which you are indulging, for you are bound by the laws of death. So it's interesting. Lord is using some tough words to address the demon. And why is the Lord doing it? The Lord reminds the demons about their impending death. So your Lord is telling that although you are showing to be a very powerful personality, you are very much governed by the laws of the death. So there is no way that you will be able to escape. And then here it's also a reassurance. Why the Lord? I mean, for the Lord, there is no necessity to take so much of endeavor to tell the demon about his weakness. And with a simple thought in his mind, he can finish him off. But here, he is doing it only to reassure the devotees about his absolute power and the ability to protect always. So this is being reassured by the Lord through these words. So in the Bhagavad Gita also, Lord mentions about the demonic nature. Here he says, Asurim yogim apanna, Asurim yonim apanna, Mudha janmani janmani, Mama apraiga konteya, Tato yanti adham gatim. Attaining repeated birth among the species of demonic life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So this mentions that although the Supreme Lord is very merciful to everybody, here we can see that by the Lord, when he is annihilating many of the demons, they're at least in getting what we call as salvation or mukti. But he is mentioning that if somebody is continuing in the demonic nature, in spite of so many understandings through the devotees or the Lord himself, there is a possibility that that person will fall further down to more and more abominable creatures. And it's scary to see that he is mentioning here that then such persons will never be able to approach him. He will only continuously wander in this material world, probably eternally. So this is one of the slogas which is quite hard hitting from Bhagavad Gita. So we can learn from it the importance of using the opportunity which you have got at the earliest, and then surrender to the Lord, and then be in the association of the devotees only all the time, and go back to the Lord. So the Supreme Lord challenges the demon further. Here he is mentioning, you are supposed to be the commander of many foot soldiers, and now you may take prompt steps to overthrow us. Give up all your foolish talk and wipe out the creases of your kith and kin by slaying us. One may be proud, yet he does not deserve a seat in an assembly if he fails to fulfill his promised words. So here, through these words, the Lord is challenging the demon even further to make him happy and to kind of push him to fight very quickly. We can see that he's saying that you may be talking many big words, but show that in your action. Don't just talk. And if you dare, you come and fight. That's what he's saying that. And by fighting, then you will be able to avenge the death of your relatives in the past, where Lord had annihilated them. So here, one important thing he has mentioned is just by talking, it will not do. That's what the Lord is saying. One may be very proud, he can talk many things, but if he needs, if he deserves any kind of respect, then he should be able to fulfill the words. And this is another indication we can see in this world today, especially in all the political circles, etc. There are so many promises and so many big words given by many of the so-called leaders, but most of the cases we can very easily see that many of them are never fulfilled at all. So why the Lord is talking like this with the demons? There is only one reason. So the Supreme Lord want to kind of reassure and then also give happiness to all the devotees through these kind of pastime. There is no other no other reason why the Lord is taking such endeavors. So this we can see also from many other episodes. One of the examples is from Mahabharata, where the Supreme Lord went with a peace proposal so that he could avoid the war. That was the last effort by the Lord to avoid the big Mahabharata war. And then there he came with a peace proposal to give at least 5 villages to the Pandavas, or at least one home to the Pandavas, so that they can live peacefully. But Duryodhan, being a demon, he completely rejected the proposal, and he has this nefarious plan that he will arrest the Supreme Lord and he put him in jail. However, the Lord showed him the Virat Rupa in the Kaurava Sabha, in the Kaurava assembly, and then all the demons were bewildered. Many of them were fainted, and all the devotees became supremely happy. So why Lord is showing this? I mean, there is no need for the Lord to show his Virat Rupa to such a low personality like Duryodhan. Absolutely no need. He can finish him off in a second. But this is being done by the Lord just as a reassurance. Although the devotees are always assured, but he gives more and more assurance to the devotees because of his causeless mercy. And then in Kali Yuga, we can see that the Lord is coming in many forms, like in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or in the form of Nityananda Mahaprabhu, to give his mercy to all the fallen souls everywhere. Now the fight is happening between the demon and the Lord. The demon, thus being challenged by the personality of Godware, became very angry. So he gets really angry and he behaves like a cobra. That is what is mentioned here in this verse. So what is the nature of a cobra? The cobra is very fierce before ordinary person. This is what Prabhupada says in the purport. But before an enchanter who can play with him, he is a plaything. So a cobra, although it is very dangerous, very poisonous, for ordinary people like us, we may be very scared of any kind of snake. I mean, forget about a cobra. So, but then for an enchanter, here in this picture, we can say it's a small boy. Maybe he's 10, 11 years old. He is very easily holding with the cobra with a smile. Similarly, a demon may be very powerful in his own domain, but before the Lord, he is insignificant. So the demon has absolutely actually no power in front of the Lord. So this picture, it comes from a Uttar Pradesh village where snake charmers are there in the whole village, and even small children play with the snakes very easily. You know, so it's a very similar thing for the Supreme Lord. He's playing with the demon just for a little bit of how to say it, enjoyment, and to give some transcendental pleasure to his devotees. And sorry. Similarly, we can see the same activity in the case of the demon Kamsa also. He was very powerful. He was cruelty personified. He was persecuting all the people in his kingdom. Everything was happening. And in addition to that, what was his nature? He had a association with many demons. And they were extremely powerful physically. The physical strength of many of his associates were unimaginable. But in spite of all this power, what happened in front of Lord Krishna, who was just a young boy at that time, probably only 14, 15 years old, Kamsa was absolutely powerless. He could not do anything. And Lord Krishna came up to him and then killed him with just by hitting him on his head or forehead. And then very quickly, in a very short time, he could annihilate him. And similarly, Lord also annihilated many other demons who were kind of physically even more powerful than Kamsa. So from all these activities, we can more and more understand that these are just pastimes of the Lord, just to give pleasure to his devotees and to declare to the demons that he is always there to protect the righteousness and the good people. So now the fight is continuing. So here it is explained in through the many verses in the chapter. So here, hissing indignantly, all his senses shaken by wrath, the demon quickly sprang upon the Lord and dealt him a blow. So he is using his mace to hit the Lord, but the Lord, what he does, he just dodges the violent mace blow. So he just like a accomplished yogi who is kind of eluding death. Lord just ensure that the mace doesn't touch him. So that is one fighting spirit of the Lord shown here. Then with his mace, the Lord struck the right side of his brow. So the Lord hit the demon, but then demon was also such an expert in his fighting. Although he was hit, he used his mace to defend it without getting hit. And in this way, the demon, Hitesh and the Lord, the personality of Godhead, struck each other with huge maces, each enraged and seeking his own victory. So it was a very huge fight. You can imagine if somebody is fighting the Supreme Lord with such a huge form in the form of the boar, how fierceful it would have been. So that fight continued. And now, when the fight is continuing, now what is happening here? Here the arrival of Lord Brahma happens. So it is mentioned here that Lord Brahma arrives here along with his followers, and he came to see the terrible fight which was happening. And this was for the sake of the world between the demon and the personality of God. So why did Lord Brahma came? He came for the sake of the world, because here his uh, mission was actually to ensure that the demigods are protected. And then they all came there. And then Lord Brahma started praying to the Lord. So he said, my dear Lord, this demon has proved to be a constant pain prick to the demigods, pinprick to the demigods, the brahmanas, the cows and innocent persons who are spotless and always dependent upon worshipping your lotus feet. He has become a source of fear by unnecessarily harassing them. Since he has attained a boon from me, he has become a demon, always searching for a proper combatant, wandering all over the universe for his infamous purpose. So here, Lord Brahma understands that he has given the boon, or he is accepting that he has given the boon, since the demon worshipped him for many years or a long time. And then he also mentioning that now the only way to annihilate him, or the only way to remove from this world, is through the power of the Supreme Lord. So this is one of the characteristics of a devotee. A devotee, as soon as he recognizes that he has done a mistake, he only go back to the Lord and accept it, and then surrender unto him, and pray to him for his mercy, so that he can overcome that. So here Lord Brahma is continuously talking to the Supreme Lord and praying. He is saying, my dear Lord, there is no need to play with this serpentine demon, who is always very skilled in the conjuring tricks and arrogant, self-sufficient and most wicked. So he is saying that please kill him, please annihilate him immediately, so that there is no more time is wasted in playing with him. So again, these are indications of the pure devotee. They are interested, they are concerned about the safety of the Lord, although they know that Lord is the supreme. Similar attitude we can see from many other devotees. In Bhagavatam, we can see that the mood of Mother Yashoda, although she could understand the divinity of the Lord in many ways through the pastimes he showed, but she was always concerned about the safety of Krishna, and then she always prayed for him, and she thought that the Lord is dependent on her, and then tried to protect. And the same similar nature is precipitated by gopis, probably even on a higher degree in Vrindavana, and they were always ready to sacrifice anything for the happiness of the Supreme Lord. And there are many pastimes which showed that, where one of the pastimes is when once Krishna mentioned that he has a headache, and then while Narada Muni approached him, he told him that I have a headache. So when Narada Muni heard that Lord is suffering from a headache, he was ready to do anything for him. But the Supreme Lord said that I will be able to come out of my severe headache only if I get some specks of dust from the feet of his devotees. And that was quite scary for even Narad Maharshi himself, it is mentioned. Maybe it is only a pastime. So he mentioned that he will never be able to do such a abominable thing, that he give the dust from his feet for the Supreme Lord. And then he goes to many personalities, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and across the whole universe, requesting for many people to give the dust from the lotus feet of them, so that Lord can apply it on his forehead and get rid of the headache. But then nobody was ready to give, because of the fear that it will be very abominable to give the dust from their feet to the Supreme Lord. Nobody gave it, and finally comes to Vrindavan and then requests the gopis. And as soon as the gopis heard it, they were immediately ready to give the dust from their feet, so that Lord can relieve the headache. And Narad Maharshi was very surprised with their attitude. He told them, how you are ready to do this? Do you know what will be the consequence? You may go to hell if the dust from your feet is applied by the Lord on his head. But the gopis mentioned that for the happiness of the Lord, even for a millisecond, they are sacrificed, or they can go to eternal hell and then be there just to make the Supreme Lord happy, even for a second. That was the approach of the gopis. So we can see the devotees have similar approach to make the Lord happy, to give them pleasure or happiness. They are ready to go to any extent. So in one way, here Lord Brahma is also showing a similar approach, that he is concerned for the Lord, and also for the devotees in the form of demigods. He knows that the demigods are absolutely frightened, and they are in a severe problem because of the demon. So he wants the demon to be annihilated at the early without any delay. So from overall what he heard in this chapter, a few takeaways are I'm trying to mention here. One is the Supreme Lord is a person, and he also has feelings. And another point we can understand here is nobody has a power equivalent or more to than the Lord. Although many demonic persons will come and show in the world time and again, like we see around in many places in the world, that they are so powerful, But the reality is that these words are not proper here. We cannot say equivalent or more. But in front of Supreme Lord, they are not equal to a small insect. That's the reality of in this world. So this is precipitated, or this is shown in this chapter very clearly. And the another point we can see is through this pastime of Lord taking the form of a boar and coming down to lift the earth and to fight with a demon like Hiranyaksha, who is using foul language, who is trying to insult the Lord with all the extreme bad words. Still, the Lord is full of mercy. So his causeless mercy is unlimited, and is ready to protect the devotees all the time. So the only thing which devotees, as devotees of the Supreme Lord, we need to do is to surrender unto Him. Since we do not have the capability of the purity to approach Him directly, we take this activity of surrendering to the Lord through the many devotees of the Lord, mainly in the form of the Guru, and then all the Vaishnavas, and stay in their association, and then get the eternal mercy of the Lord. So with this, I will stop the class. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. In case there is any question, I can try to answer, or the senior Vaishnavas are all here to answer the questions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody has any question or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the class, Prabhuji. Very wonderfully explained, and I could see like very clear flow and so many examples from different places. Even Bhagavad Gita and other Bhagavad Gita examples. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. One question I have is, in this pastime, at least I see that some of the laws of physics are challenged, right? Like, the river is earth is going into the ocean. So what is this ocean versus the ocean in the earth? And, Lord is coming out, and with Lord's energy, earth is able to float again. So how do we explain this? And like, which ocean is this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. Thank you for the question. I don't know how much understanding I have. Probably Premdada Prabhu will be able to add on to it. My understanding is it is the Garbhodaka ocean. So when the Supreme Lord takes the form of Mahavishnu, he lies down in the causal ocean, which is also mentioned as the Garbhodaka ocean. So all the planetary systems are floating in the air with the unlimited power of the Supreme Lord. And there are a couple of few cases mentioned in the scriptures where the earth has fallen down from the position and then gone down in what we call as Garbhodaka, which is an ocean very difficult to explain. It is so gigantic. It is not similar to the ocean we see within the earth inside. So it's much, much vast and unlimited in nature. And then I think there are two cases at least where it is mentioned that the earth is there is one case where the earth is stolen by a demon and taken and then plunged into the Garbhodaka. And then here, because of some reason, I'm not very sure how the earth ended up in the ocean. And the Lord, in such cases, take particular forms and come back. Here it's also mentioned Lord took the form of Varaha because generally the boar has a special capability to smell and find things. This we can see even in the material boars or the the pigs. If you have observed them, they smell all the time, and then even they go into small burrows and smell and find out things, and then use them or eat them. So similarly, Lord was in a transcendental way showing that by assuming the form of a boar, he could, in a way, it is how to say it. In a way, he could smell where the earth has gone and find it and retrieve it. So this is my understanding, Prabhu, on a very, how to say it, very low level. Prabhuji, Premdada Prabhuji, would you like to add on to this?
No, Prabhu, it's not at a low level. It is perfect. Yes, it's Garbhodaka ocean. And you had already told that there are two instances in Bhagavatam itself, where the Mother Earth is One is Hiranyaksh takes this, another one is, I think, on its own. So in both the cases, Lord in the form of boar, he comes and takes it. Yeah, that's a correct understanding. I'm not sure if it answers Anchal Prabhu's question.
Yes, Prabhuji, I think. So it answers. I think maybe the details of this maybe is in Canto 1, right? The whole structure of the universe.
Yes, second, it is Canto second. When we discussed, we had discussed that. So as Prabhu rightly said that, all the universe is being floating, and Lord is on in the Garbhoda Kshaya Vishnu is he's lying on the Garbhoda ocean, and from that only Lord manages various universes. So the earth which has fallen from that. So as you are asking the physics laws, so I don't know how to answer that, because there are many things which are we cannot justify by our material knowledge. Maybe over the period of time when hopefully science progresses to that level where we can see beyond that. At the moment, we are not even able to go beyond this particular universe. To some extent, we have identified, all these, what do you call that, Milky Ways and galaxies and all those kind of things. But there are so many unanswerable questions. Even how the universe is created also is scientifically we are not able to understand. So I know you are from IIT, so you have that, scientific mind, but maybe I'm not sure. But my understanding is that Lord is, or this creation is beyond, logical understanding.
Prabhuji, one input I had was once the discussion with Apramadaji. I think as part of our Bhakti Vaibhav course, there is a Prabhuji in ISKCON who is an expert in the creation, the planetary systems, who comes and takes class with so much minute details. So she was mentioning the class was so mind-boggling. And one is all our scientific mind is getting cleared or answered. And then she was also mentioning we literally understand how little, I mean, we cannot even say that we are a speck of dust. We are so insignificant that there is, nothing to mention about us. That's what she was mentioning very, very beautifully.
Yeah, even when we read in Srimad Bhagavad Gita also, when Brahma's life in 4th chapter, I think first or second shloka, when Prabhupada is explaining, when I read it first time, it was this thing 411 or 311 trillion years is Brahma's life. And in that, if we relate to it, how insignificant we are in front of Brahma itself. And then the Lord's inhaling and exhaling unlimited universes, they come out and this thing. So you just see it's so this thing that's but yes, to answer maybe somebody with that scientific understanding of our Vedic model of creation should be able to answer you, maybe answer Prabhu. Maybe we should get somebody to answer you that.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
That is
Prabhuji, I heard in one of the lecture that in Nitai Sevani Mataji's lecture that like traffic going on the road has different rules. But if we expect the aeroplane also, if the red signal is there, and if we expect that the aeroplane will also stop at the same signal, that is not possible. The rules for this material world and transcendental world are different, and maybe the same can apply to this also, Prabhuji. If I am not wrong, Prabhuji. This is what I heard, Prabhuji.
yes. But yes, as we maybe hopefully when the science progresses, we are able to get some link, some of these our Vedic aspects of understanding and this thing. Yes, at the moment it's difficult to understand how the earth went into the water. Because we see that water is there on the earth. So how earth can go into the water? But there is some other ocean which is surrounding the every universe. And if we see that our separation between material and spiritual world is a river, that is Viraja river. So we can, at the moment, we cannot understand how a river can be there in the space, because for us the universe is space. So yes, it's sometimes I can just Satyabhama Mataji was giving example. So in this also, if we see a simple way to look at it is that when we are in the ground, a building looks 120 floor building, something like that. But when we take an aeroplane and we go little high, the same building starts becoming small, and after some time it looks like a matchbox from the top, and after some time it disappears also. So maybe that higher vision is required to understand that. Either I think the people through yogis are able to, or sadhus are able to view that, because we had so many, our acharyas who have this kind of this thing, that they were sitting here in this material world, and they used to go and participate in the Golok Vrindavan Leelas also. So there are so many instances of our acharyas in our parampara just 400, 500 years back. So yes, maybe either through that way or through hopefully the science progresses and we see something. It's easy to understand. But yes, with our limited knowledge or limited overview of aspects, it's maybe difficult to perceive at the moment. Any other question or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Uttama Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Rajeshver Prabhuji. Very wonderful class. The flow was very nice. Like it was a feel like we are going from like material world and to spiritual world, up and down, up and down. So very nicely you have connected the present that thing, the attack which has come. That was very nice, because mostly people, they come and they ask us like, where is Lord? Why this all has happened? Why that this you all are doing so much, then also why? So that was very nice, because mode of goodness. And even many times, like as Prabhuji, we have not seen like scolding and all, but our side we can see like this is like a role model, like Premdata Prabhuji and Rajeshwar Prabhuji, which we have seen not like scolding and all. So to the children, so their mode of goodness is always high. But for us, taking us is little difficult, but that is very good, and the association of devotees we can improve. So Prabhuji, related to Anchal Prabhuji's question, I know like to the level of science, definitely my level is very not that much or very low. But Prabhuji, we have seen in Mahabharata also, like Lord has done very miraculous things, like which we can't, which is like far from our thinking. Even that when Duryodhan want to perform the yagya or something on, I think, Amavasya, Prabhuji, please correct me, when Lord brought sun and moon all together in a line, and he was standing and he told, so such impossible things when is possible for the Lord, so he can do anything. So this thing, so very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class, and thank you for training by Premnata Prabhu for all of us, like how he is taking us. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. All my goodness is only in front of the devotees, Mataji, to be very honest. That's a reality. When we come back to the
At least you
original
have those,
format.
Prabhu. We don't have that also.
Oh, no, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, we
Sure,
are seeing
Mataji.
all of you like Rajiv Lochan Prabhuji, Achyut